Some men chase youth through noise and chaos. Others age like wine, in silence, with power. This is not about creams or cameras. This is about presence. A quiet kind of strength. The kind that makes people turn their heads and wonder why you still carry that spark. If that's the man you are becoming, subscribe to Stoic Legacy. It helps us reach more men who need this reminder. Let's begin. Sign number 1. You don't chase attention. You walk into a room, and you do not need to speak loudly. You do not need to wear bright colors or make exaggerated gestures to get people to notice you. Because something about the way you carry yourself already turns heads. It is your posture, calm and upright. It is your gaze, steady and grounded. It is the aura that comes from a man who is no longer seeking approval. You have learned, through time and trial, that chasing attention only reveals one thing: a lack of self-respect. And you, by now, have built that self-respect like a fortress. You know who you are. You know what you bring. You do not need the room to clap for you before you feel validated. You have outgrown the hunger for attention that once defined your younger years. You no longer need others to confirm your worth because your life speaks for itself. Your silence speaks for you. Your energy announces you before your mouth ever opens. There was a time, perhaps, when you wanted to be noticed. When every glance from a woman or every compliment from a friend lit something inside you. But you've come far since then. You've tasted real confidence, the kind that cannot be faked. And you now realize that chasing admiration is like chasing wind. It slips through your fingers and leaves you emptier each time. Instead, you let people come to you. Not because you are arrogant, but because you understand value. You've become the kind of man who doesn't sell himself. He doesn't lower his standards to be accepted. He lets the world rise or fall around him, unmoved. And that, more than anything, is what draws people in. You've stopped explaining yourself. You've stopped proving yourself. And in doing so, you have become magnetic. You do not chase, you attract. And not because you try, but because you have become. You do not seek attention because you are too focused on building your legacy, living your truth, and honoring your own time. You've learned that a man who is full of purpose rarely needs applause. His presence is enough. That is why you are admired. That is why you still look powerful. And that is why, no matter your age, people cannot ignore you. Sign number 2. You speak with calm authority. When you open your mouth, you do not raise your voice. You do not need to dominate with volume because your presence already commands the space. Your words are chosen, not wasted. You know that power lies in control, and the strongest man in the room is the one who does not flinch, does not beg to be heard, but speaks with clarity and calm. There is something deeply attractive about a man who has trained his voice to match his inner discipline. You no longer react to every insult or comment, because you are not in the business of proving your manhood. You understand that real confidence is quiet. Real intelligence is understated. And true power does not shout. You speak only when it matters, and when you do, people listen. Not because you demand respect, but because your tone already holds it. You speak like a man who has seen storms and survived them, like a man who knows the cost of unnecessary words. You understand that speaking with calm authority is not just about volume or vocabulary. It is about alignment. Your voice aligns with your values, your peace, your purpose. That is what makes people lean in. That is why you are remembered. When you speak, you are not performing. You are not chasing approval. You are delivering truth, plain and direct. And in a world full of noise and ego, that is rare. That is powerful. That is deeply attractive. You speak like a man who has nothing to prove and everything to protect. Your family, your peace, your legacy. And you protect it not with rage, but with reason. With silence where silence is stronger, and with words where they carry weight. You have nothing to gain from yelling. So you choose stillness. You speak like a man who has been misunderstood before and no longer cares to explain. Like a man who knows that his strength is not in how loud he is, but in how stable he remains. Your calm unnerves the insecure. Your tone reminds them of their own noise. And that is why, even without trying, you inspire respect. You speak like a king, not a child. And that is why, even as you age, your voice only grows sharper, deeper, and more valuable. Sign number 3. Your body shows discipline. You do not need to flex. You do not need to show off. Your body already speaks for you. It tells a story of years spent honoring yourself, not for vanity, but for virtue. The lines on your arms, the strength in your walk, the posture you carry through a room, all of it reveals a life lived in control. While others let their habits own them, you chose to master yours. You lifted when no one was watching. You ran when it was easier to rest. You said no to comfort so you could say yes to greatness. Your discipline has been carved into your physique, not to impress, but to remind you who you are. Your body is not an accessory. It is a symbol. A message to the world that you did not give in. You did not let time, temptation, or weakness turn you soft. And that resilience is attractive in a way no filter can fake. You carry years of silent victories on your shoulders. Every rep, every drop of sweat, every early morning when you chose pain over ease, it all shows now. And people can sense it. They see it in the way you stand. In the calm in your step. In the power in your presence. You are not chasing youth. You are showing what real maturity looks like. You are not trying to look like you are 20. You are showing what 20 looks like when it is disciplined for decades. And that kind of strength, that long-term commitment to yourself, cannot be bought or faked. It earns respect without needing to ask. It draws attention without seeking it. Because discipline is rare. And when it is visible in your body, it becomes magnetic. You look younger not because you are obsessed with youth, but because you have chosen to live with respect for your own vessel. You feed it right. You move it with purpose. You rest it with wisdom. And the world notices. Not because you told them, but because your results speak for themselves. You are not just aging. You are aging well. You are proof that a man who stays loyal to his discipline carries a different kind of presence. A presence that turns heads, holds rooms, and reminds others what is possible when you live with intention. Sign number 4. You take silence as a strength. You no longer feel the need to fill every space with words. You do not talk to prove yourself. You let your silence do the work. In a world that constantly screams for attention, your quiet presence becomes a rare and powerful thing. You walk into a room and bring calm instead of noise. You are measured, grounded, deliberate. People feel your energy without needing your explanation. You listen more than you speak, and when you do speak, every word carries weight. That is not just attractive. That is magnetic. Younger men often confuse noise with dominance, thinking volume equals power. But you, with years of experience and internal work behind you, know better. You have learned that stillness is not emptiness. It is control. It is clarity. And it is extremely rare. You do not rush to speak just to be heard. You wait. You observe. You understand that timing is everything. And because of that, when you finally do speak, people lean in. They trust your silence because they know it is born from reflection, not from fear. You are not hiding. You are choosing to reserve your energy. That choice makes you look even more composed, even more youthful, because emotional regulation is the true fountain of youth. Your silence shows emotional maturity. It shows patience. It shows that you are not emotionally reactive, but internally sovereign. That confidence, that inner calm, radiates outward. You do not gossip. You do not overshare. You keep your dignity by keeping your privacy. And people admire that. Women sense it deeply. It creates mystery. It creates depth. It creates a space that feels safe because it is not desperate for attention. You have trained yourself to be comfortable in the quiet. That is where your power lives. And that kind of man, one who finds strength in silence, who does not need to perform, is rare. That man stands out. That man leaves a mark. And that man never looks old. He looks timeless. Because real youth is not just in the skin. It is in the soul. And yours is centered. Still. Steady. Silent. But strong. Sign number 5. You are hard to impress. You have seen too much, been through too much, and grown too much to be dazzled by surface-level displays. What once excited you no longer moves you. Loud people, flashy lifestyles, empty validation, they pass through you like wind. You have cultivated discernment, a quiet filter that evaluates everything not by its shine but by its substance. And that makes you stand out. Because most people are easily distracted, easily manipulated, constantly chasing trends or approval. But you remain still. Unshaken. The things that once pulled at your attention now seem shallow. You are not cold, you are just clear. Your standards are high, not because you are arrogant, but because you know what matters. You no longer chase, you attract. Not because of a strategy, but because of presence. Women sense that instantly. They see a man who is not trying to prove anything, not trying to please anyone, and it pulls them in. Because mystery is attractive. Because a man who cannot be easily swayed becomes someone they want to understand. You are not impressed by followers or money or status, because you have learned those things fade. What does not fade is character, emotional strength, and peace of mind. That is what you protect now. And that inner filter, that selectiveness, makes people respect you. They may not always understand you, but they cannot ignore you. You walk through the world with quiet judgment, not of others, but of what you allow into your life. And that strength, that refined boundary, gives you a glow. Not a loud glow, but a silent one. One that says, I know who I am and I do not need you to validate it. You become unpredictable, and that unpredictability becomes power. The world cannot guess your next move because you are not operating from external pressure. You are guided by something deeper. That calm, that inner compass, keeps you looking grounded, steady, and yes, younger. Because the mind that no longer chases chaos starts to reflect peace on the outside. You are not aging like most people. You are aging with clarity. And that makes all the difference. Sign number 6. You keep your circle small. You have learned that not everyone deserves access to your life. This is not bitterness, this is wisdom earned through scars. A good-looking older man does not feel the need to fill his life with noise, crowds, or constant stimulation. He keeps his circle small because he knows the weight of real connection. He does not collect people, he chooses them. And those who stay in his life understand this sacred privilege. You do not chase friendships out of loneliness. You wait for energy that matches yours. You look for depth, not drama. You have learned the hard way that most people only show up when it's easy, not when it matters. So you let go of the crowd and embrace your solitude. There is something deeply attractive about a man who values his own company. It shows that he is emotionally mature, mentally stable, and spiritually aligned. He does not need constant validation because his confidence is rooted in who he is, not in who he pleases. You are not afraid to walk alone if it means protecting your peace. And this ability to be selective radiates strength. It makes others wonder what makes you so sure of yourself. People respect you more when you are not easily accessible. Your presence becomes a privilege. Your absence becomes noticeable. And your boundaries become a lesson. In a world obsessed with followers and clout, you remind people of the power of mystery. You listen more than you speak. You show more through action than through words. You give without expecting, but you never tolerate disrespect. You have mastered the art of choosing quality over quantity, and it shows in your relationships. Women are drawn to that discernment. They see a man who is not desperate for attention. They see a man who holds himself to a higher standard. And that is rare. When you keep your circle small, you make your energy sacred. You become harder to reach, harder to influence, and harder to forget. You age not by the number of years you live, but by the wisdom you carry. And that wisdom is reflected in the people you allow into your life. Sign number 7. You age like a monk, not a celebrity. You do not chase the illusion of youth through artificial means. You do not hide your wrinkles, you honor them. Each line on your face tells a story, a battle, a lesson. You age with dignity, not desperation. A good-looking older man understands that aging is not a flaw, it is a form of evolution. And while the world may worship plastic perfection, you embrace natural growth. You live simply, you eat with awareness, you rest with intention. You are not overindulgent, you are disciplined. And that minimalist lifestyle is your secret. You avoid excess. You cut out drama, gossip, toxic habits. You live more like a monk than a celebrity. And that simplicity slows down time. It keeps you centered. It keeps you youthful not just in appearance, but in energy. People look at you and see a man who is not trying to be someone he's not. That authenticity is magnetic. You are not chasing trends, you are embodying timeless values. You are not dressing to impress, you are dressing to express. You wear silence like armor. You walk with grace. And you keep your life uncluttered. Your home reflects your mind. Clean, organized, peaceful. You are not surrounded by chaos. You are surrounded by clarity. This is why you appear younger than your age. It is not just your skin or your body. It is your lifestyle. It is the absence of mental noise. The stillness in your gaze. The control in your movements. You are not a man who aged poorly chasing youth. You are a man who aged powerfully embracing wisdom. And that is the true definition of attractive. You are not trying to compete with younger men. You are living in a league of your own. You have nothing to prove and no one to impress. Your presence speaks louder than any cosmetic change ever could. And in a world obsessed with appearances, your authenticity is a rebellion. Women notice this. They sense your balance. They feel your calm. And they admire the man who became better with age, not bitter. You have aged like a monk, and that is why you are unforgettable. Sign number 8. You carry emotional control. Your youth lies in your unshakable mind. You do not overreact. You do not lash out. You do not chase after approval, nor do you crumble under rejection. You have learned to master your emotions instead of being mastered by them. That calmness you carry is rare. It speaks louder than words. It commands respect without ever demanding it. Emotional control is your secret weapon, your invisible strength, your quiet power. While others are slaves to every mood, every trigger, every spike of dopamine, you remain steady. You feel everything, but you don't let those feelings control your actions. And that is a mark of deep maturity. A man who has faced storms and now walks with peace. You've learned that silence is not weakness, it is control. That walking away is not giving up, it is choosing your sanity. That not every insult needs a response, and not every challenge deserves your energy. And this mental discipline, it reflects in how young you seem. Because stress ages people faster than time. Bitterness carves deeper lines on the face than age ever could. But you have let go. You have stopped carrying weights that were never yours. You don't gossip. You don't argue to win. You don't seek revenge. You've mastered the art of letting things be. That spiritual calm rewinds your soul. Your mind is sharp, not scattered. Focused, not frenzied. And it shows in the way you speak, the way you walk, the way you make others feel. People often say you look young, but they're seeing more than skin. They are sensing your peace, your detachment, your lightness. That is the true fountain of youth. Your emotional self-control keeps your energy clean. Your boundaries protect your sanity. You are not afraid to feel, but you no longer drown in your feelings. You acknowledge pain, but you don't live in it. You honor anger, but you don't feed it. That emotional intelligence is attractive, rare, powerful. And when others meet you, they notice it immediately. Something about you feels different, safer, calmer. That is why you seem younger. Because inside you, there is peace. There is clarity. There is freedom from chaos. And that inner youth, that serenity, is the final sign that you are not just a good-looking older man. You are a wise one. A stoic one. A rare one. You've just seen the quiet signs of a man who's aged with wisdom, not wear. If even one of these signs felt like it was speaking to you, then you're already on the path. Keep walking it. And if this message stirred something in you, do one thing for me. Subscribe to Stoic Legacy. It helps us reach more men ready to rise. Stay focused, stay grounded, and never stop becoming better. Stay stoic and build your stoic legacy.